You are tuned into a special edition of the Locker Room Podcast. We got the NFL free agency in full force. The NCAA tournament is set, Jack. The brackets are in. I know you probably have a bracket in. We're going to get to that. It's going to be amazing. I think there's so many crazy matchups that we're going to get to see. And like I said, this is the year where there's no clear, overwhelming favorite. A lot of parity in college basketball, like we talked about a few episodes ago. But first, Jack, the NFL. It's the gift that keeps on giving. A lot of moves made on the first day of free agency. The biggest news, however, is the news not made yet. The speculation that Aaron Rodgers to the Jets is done, Jack. People saying not yet. What do you think is going on? Do you like Aaron Rodgers to the Jets?
I just want to say this episode is sponsored by Adam Schefter Twitter because he's been unreal the past couple of days, going crazy. Yeah. A lot of crazy moves, and like you said, the one that everyone's waiting for is the Aaron Rodgers move. I do like this move. I like it for a couple of reasons. One, you bring in a veteran presence to your young team. It's a different veteran presence than most because it's Aaron Rodgers, and you just know everything behind it. With his, I don't want to say ignorance, but he's a character. He has his own stigma to him. And then he hasn't really been the ultimate model in the sense of for Jordan Love, but that's a whole different scenario, I think. So if you want Zach Wilson to grow under somebody, I think Aaron Rodgers is the perfect guy. It's his favorite player growing up. He can learn from Aaron Rodgers from a lot of different aspects, and that's what's going to happen. I think if he goes to the Jets. So I like it for that. I think just a winning standpoint, that's an awesome AFC East just division in general. Now you have Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. You still have Bill Belichick as a Patriot. You never know what they're going to do. And Miami is one of the most electrifying teams there are. They're loading it up. And now, because now they have Ramsey, and Raheem Mostert just signed another deal, and they're just going to keep adding on weapons as much as they can for Tua or whoever. And now Mike White, too, is a backup. So now if Tua goes down, you have another valuable backup in Mike White. So I like the way this is for football. It's just going to be everything's being blown up, a lot of new faces and new places.
Absolutely. Everything's being blown up, and I'm a Jets fan. So I cannot be unbiased. Yes, I need this to happen. I've been through pain and suffering. I deserve this. Let me have nice things. I think it's pretty much done. Reports came out this morning from Schefter that they're in progress in signing Allen Lazard, one of Aaron Rodgers' favorite people. And also we'll be looking at Randall Cobb. So they're getting some of the other little pieces he wants that he's going to want in his receiver room. Allen Lazard is a pretty good receiver, and I think it'd be a great addition. He won't be our number one. Garrett Wilson will be the number one. Elijah Moore in the slot. Allen Lazard opposite. I think that's a pretty dang good receiving core, if you ask me.
Incredible.
I think that's a pretty dang good receiver. And you throwing Randall Cobb for that veteran presence, knowing where to be, and helping bring the other receivers along and how Aaron likes to do things. I think it's a recipe for good things. I think we'll be a top 5 team in the AFC with Aaron Rodgers. We're definitely in the playoffs, and we'll be able to beat anybody. The AFC is loaded, so I can't say we're going to beat the Chiefs, Bengals, the Ravens re-sign Lamar, and the Dolphins who are loading up. But I can tell you this: no team will want to face us. When you have a defense like that, and when you finally have that guy at quarterback, it can be huge. So I hope it becomes official truth. But I hope the beginning of this episode becomes outdated because he gets the bomb drops that fast. That's what I really hope for. But we'll sit tight and see. Other quarterbacks on the move, Jack. Jimmy Garoppolo signing with the Las Vegas Raiders.
It just makes sense.
It makes so much sense. 3 years, $67 million, a bargain. It's a bargain. Pretty good bargain for them.
There were only three other places that made sense for Jimmy G. Jets, which
is Saleh.
And then you have Tampa Bay, just so because True. That was kind of like they need a guy. Yeah. They need a guy like Brady, Jimmy was behind, blah, 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 all that. But this one makes the most sense because McDaniel's there. It's his offense.
The relationship.
He's been in that offense. Their relationship is great. They're bringing in weapons like crazy right now. They just signed Jakobi Meyers. I mean, is that going to be your biggest weapon? No, but it's going to be a weapon. You have Davante Adams. You have Josh Jacobs there.
Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller.
Yeah. And you're literally replacing Derek Carr with another version of a pretty boy Derek Carr.
Essentially.
That's basically what it is. It's
cheaper though. Way cheaper.
Way cheaper. And it just like you said, we've been saying, it makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of things in life where you say, man, that makes too much damn sense for it to work, right? Or like, oh, like this would make sense. Like this would be perfect. Not a lot of people were thinking about this because everyone was thinking, well, we were like, Tampa Bay seems like a good fit for Jimmy G. The Jets at the time. But now when he's in this place, you're like, what did I think of that? Because that's what we needed. Or that's what the Raiders needed. So I think that was a very good pickup by them. And he's not the only QB on the move. And then the 49ers are like, all right, we need a backup quarterback. Let's go get Sam Darnold. I think that even works out for them as well. It's just another guy, another presence. Like, is he going to be the guy that Brock Purdy was coming in? And no, absolutely not. But he's now he's been a veteran presence where he gets to go and have a lot of weapons. So we can actually see if he has an okay day and he still has the weapons around him, what can he do?
Yeah, I definitely see that. Jimmy G, again, like we said, we love the fit. The fit is everything. I think he'll have a lot of success with the Raiders. They maybe disrupt that O-line just a little bit next. But when you have Davante Adams, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, adding Jakobi Meyers as your fourth receiver is not too dang shabby, I'll tell you that much. And Josh Jacobs as your running back who got franchise tagged by them. You got something humming on offense. And you know you can win with Jimmy G because we've seen teams have success with Jimmy G. And Josh McDaniels has had success with Jimmy G. Jimmy G was my third option for my Jets. I would not have been upset if we ended up with him at all. So I think he's a very competent quarterback. He isn't the greatest quarterback. But for what Josh McDaniels wants, he wants a guy to process information and get the ball out on time and get the job done. And I think Jimmy G will do just that. I think he will do just that for Josh McDaniels. I think Derek Carr kind of struggled with the relationship with Josh McDaniels and what Josh McDaniels wanted his offense to look like versus what Derek Carr was used to. And I think that's where the struggle came from. And I think they came to the decision that we're not going to pay a guy that is not my guy. He just did. He said, I'm going to go out my way. It's probably his last opportunity as a head coach. If he doesn't get it right this time, he probably won't get another crack at it. So he's going to go out with his guys. And I can respect that. A lot of other notable moves, Jack. A lot of other notable moves. The Bears.
They're going crazy.
The Bears are slowly.
We haven't talked since they gave away the number one pick either.
They trade back the number one pick. I think that was the absolute best move possible. You get a 1 and a 2 next year. You get their 1 this year and their 2 this year. And most importantly, you get DJ Moore. Chicago is showing a masterclass on what you do when you have a talented young quarterback on a rookie deal. Ravens, what you should have done. You assemble talent around him. They went and got Chase Claypool at the end of in season last year. Now you have DJ Moore, who's one of the best young receivers in the league. Him, Terry McLaurin, all those great receivers that don't get as much hype because they haven't had quarterbacks. And yet they still have the productivity. See, those are great receivers. When you can still get 1,000 yards without that star quarterback, that shows me that you're just great. That's what DeAndre Hopkins was doing all those years in Houston. So DJ Moore. They also signed Tremaine Edmonds for 4 years, $72 million. That's huge. He's one of the better linebackers. And I saw Dan Orlovsky say he fits better with the defensive coordinator scheme. It's a lot of blitz run through, which I can understand. That's not really Roquan's thing. He's not all about blitz run through. He's more of a QB and zone cover type linebacker who can also, of course, is great in the run game. But Tremaine Edmonds fits a little bit better schematically. And he also signed TJ Edwards from Philly, who was their starting linebacker last year, to 3 years, $19 million. So what the Bears basically did was they traded Roquan, flipped him for capital, and now they have both of their starting inside linebackers, one really good, one pretty good, for about $10 million less than what Roquan makes alone. That's getting the job done, Bears. That's getting the job done. Adding DJ Moore. And now they have so much draft capital. They're set up to really fix this team, Jack. I really love what Chicago's doing.
Yeah, imagine here's what I compare the Bears doing, right? The Bears have been the side chick for the longest time, right? Or you know what? Not even that. They're the guy that has been friend zoned for the longest time.
Oh, sure.
Let's do that instead. So they are the guy in the friend zone, and they're just looking in. They're like, oh, I got this really powerful asset. This girl gonna like it. Yeah, Justin Fields is it's my ticket. And then they go out, get new ownership and GM, and they're like, oh, you know what? We're gonna look like a different team. You just wait. And then when they go out and they make their move, it doesn't work at first. It doesn't work the first couple of times. But then the main guy starts to go down a little bit of tension going on in Green Bay. That championship and Green Bay start to split a little bit. And then there's another dude coming up in the running with the Detroit Lions, and then the Vikings are still up top. But hey, the Bears are coming. The Bears are coming. They're coming from the outside, that friend zone. They're gonna creep into that relationship spot with that championship. Yeah. So I think that they're just making moves. And like you said, this free agency, a lot has happened in the first day. What move other than the ones we talked about where you kind of gave your little eyebrows and like, oh, okay? Because I have one in particular that was kind of like where did this come from?
I wonder if they're the same one, because I have one in very particular too, and it's where I was going naturally with next. The Miami Dolphins trading for Jalen Ramsey.
That wasn't mine.
Is one that made me go, wow. Because they already have Xavier Howard. Now they got two lockdown corners on the outside.
He's replacing Byron Jones.
He's replacing Byron Jones, who can't run a jump right now. Prayers up for Byron Jones. I don't know what's going on with his injury. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to come back, and there's also reports that he'll likely, after he's released, retire. Hate to see that. He was great. He's great. You hate to see injuries take a guy out, but wow. Jalen Ramsey for a third-round pick is as great a value as you could possibly get. Can you imagine if you could bank that your third-round pick would be as good as Jalen Ramsey, an all-pro, who people say had a down year last year? He led the league in interceptions. He led the league in passes defended, by the way, tied with Sauce Gardner. I know he gave up some touchdowns, but a lot of the film that I see of things they're saying he gave up touchdowns with, that's why I don't like people who don't play football judging or determining certain statistics, because they're not all his fault. Some of them are blown coverages on the back end. He's supposed to be in trail technique. He's supposed to have over-the-top coverage or some type of shell, or he's trying to make up for somebody else and just being smart. Of course, he did get beat a few times, but I think Jalen, this is a steal for the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are all in. I think they're going to be a really tough team to beat. They got the two fastest wide receivers and two of the best corners. You got to have speed, and you got to be able to cover people. And I think that, no pun intended, they got that covered now. And Vic Fangio is their defensive coordinator. He's one of the best defensive minds in the National Football League, Jack. Vic Fangio is a wizard when it comes to defense. That's why a lot of people wanted his services. And with that type of talent you're going to give Vic, oh, man, you got to watch out for the Dolphins.
I agree. That wasn't the one that made my jaw drop because there have been reports about it happening. And that was more of a trade rather than a free agent signing. But that's, to me, is ridiculous.
It's still free agent frenzy, man.
You're right. Absolutely. So the one that was kind of like a signing that was kind of weird to me was Jesse Bates going to the Falcons.
That was a signing for the Falcons.
Yeah, it was kind of like, okay, the Falcons are kind of in this thing. They want to make a move.
But they got money. They got money, Jack.
Yeah, and that's what I've noticed from these teams. The Bears have money. The Falcons have money.
Spending. Yeah.
So those teams that have been lowball in the past couple of years are spending money now.
Yes.
And that was kind of like, that's how it is in a lot of sports. That's how it is in baseball, big time. A lot of guys have down years, or a lot of teams have down years, but once they have the capital to do it, they go out and get their guys.
Yep.
That's what the Padres did. And that's what, in football, that's what they're doing now. I think football and baseball are two way different sports in that sense, just because of like longevity, salary cap, longevity. So those are like two different types of signings. But I think in that comparison, that's what it's like, is like these teams have been seeing down years after the Falcons were in the Super Bowl in the last decade. Mm-hmm. So like, that's where you're like, okay, like what happened? So now that you have this little restructure of the team, go out and spend your money. Do what you got to do. So I thought Jesse Bates was a crazy pick, but I'm thinking, why didn't the Bengals want their guy back? That he was a huge part of that defense. So
Well, they wanted him back, Jack. They can't afford him. Joe Burrow got to get paid. T. Higgins got to get paid. Jamar's gonna have to get paid next year. You can't keep everybody, and
that's
that's
true.
what you're also seeing with the Bills. Because at some point, you got to pay the piper. The Chiefs have done a great job of it. They lose Tyreek
Hmm.
Hill. They lose pivotal guys. They're not going to re-sign Orlando Brown because they went and got the tackle from Jacksonville, who's very good, and they signed him for 4 years, 80 million, which is not bad. That's good value for them. Sorry, smell you, Orlando
Yeah.
Brown. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to be able to reload, develop talent, and to fill in those holes essentially. Because like you see with the Rams having a fire sale. They can't afford all those guys. Certain guys that are going to have to go, and you're going to have to restart over or try to continue the success you have by supplementing with different guys.
So free agency has been an AO, but we're going to transition to that segment right now.
Hey, yo, what the?
So before we get into the madness of March, I gotta do this as my AO.
Do it.
Tyreek Hill, this dude hasn't run on a track since 2014, and he decides to do a 60-meter USA qualifier for this. These dudes racing against him have been training for this race for the whole year.
Smoke.
And Tyreek Hill shows up in these huge ass sunglasses and then just bodies these guys. You want to know why they call him the cheetah? Bro, he made these dudes look like antelopes, like the way they were running, the way he was just like, it's just unbelievable. He's so fast. And he made embarrass these guys. Yep. These guys have been training for this, and then just football players shows up and just shows off his freak athleticism. And that's my AO. It is my AO.
I got you. That was hilarious to watch. It looked like he was racing you out there, honestly, and me, because I'm slow as dirt. But he has different speed. He also wasn't racing against top-notch dudes. So I didn't take too much into it. I thought it was fun. It was fun to watch him just come out there and
it's
just
smoke
so
him. Those guys have been training. They've been training for that moment. Tyreek's
but he trains too. That's what I'm saying. But he trains too. He speed trains all year round. So it's not too far fetched. Now, if you did this against some of the best in the world, then I'd be more impressed. But
right, it was just still hysterical.
Yeah. My AO, of course, is the NCAA tournament, and man, Jack, I was working the Selection Sunday show on radio, and man, these are some very intriguing regions. These are very. What we'll do is we'll go region by region.
Okay.
Tell you who we like. And maybe somebody to watch for in each region. We'll start with the South. I think it's clear that Alabama's going to come out the South. They are just too good, too great. Dominated the SEC tournament. Brandon Miller, whatever you think of him, is what you think of him. He's been cleared of any wrongdoing. So your judgment is your judgment. I want people to also remember he's in the South, and it's a different layer of things down there. It's a different gun law. So observe people through a different eye. Is the only thing I would say with the Brandon Miller situation. It's a difficult one. But, oh, man, is he fantastic at basketball, Jack. He's a top 3 pick. And when you have him, Quinterly, and those other guys that they have, I don't think anybody in the South can beat them.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Arizona is a very talented team. But two things. One, history can repeat itself a lot, which it has since 1999, is that everybody from right down the middle in the United States, it's been all East Coast teams. And and it's just that part kind of scares me in the sense of what's going on? Like, why is that a trend? I like Arizona. I would say in the South, my one or two upsets I have, I'm still going back and forth. I think Charleston is a very good offensive team. They have 5 guys that
they are really
average
good.
Over double-digit teams, but San Diego State is a very good defensive team. I'm still going to pick Charleston, even though defense wins that. I like Charleston at the 12 over the 5. And the other one that's kind of sneaky is Utah State over Missouri. Utah State has gone under the radar. Missouri they've been good as of late, but Utah State is also one of the most talented offensive teams. in the nation. So I think that can play a role. It's again, to me, the biggest things about March Madness, and I'll go with the rest of my picks with this, is that two of the biggest things, and I've learned this since high school, this is from playing, this is from whatever it is.
Yeah.
What you need in March Madness is really good defense into offense.
Mm-hmm.
And you need leadership. You need like that veteran presence. I thought one of the only examples of that wasn't that was pure talent was Kentucky.
Yeah, we're not. You don't see those.
But like UNC,
anymore.
but like UNC's, the Villanovas, the Kansases, like those guys, like those teams have the leadership of juniors and seniors that have been in that position before and led them there.
Yeah, you need experience.
Yeah, and I'll get onto that later with other teams. Is like they need that to it. So in the South, I will have in the Elite Eight, I'll have Arizona and Alabama, with Alabama going into the Final Four.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree. And one upset I want to throw in for the South. I like NC State over Creighton. NC.
Creighton's been so good though. They've been so good as of late. But that's such a great pick.
And that's why it's an upset. NC State
so talented,
is sneaky good. They're sneaky, really good. That's my upset pick.
Oh, that's
I think that's going to be a game that comes down to the last shot. I think that's what that game is going to be.
Oh,
moving on to the East Coast. To the East Coast. Jack.
Oh man, what we got? All right, here's
where it gets sticky. I know who I'm picking. I'm gonna let you go first this time.
Oh man, all right. This is gonna be my big one. So all my guys going into the round of 32 were pretty basic, except for USC beating number 10 USC beating number 7 Michigan State. Everyone else is kind of like no upsets until I get to the Sweet 16. The Sweet 16, I have Memphis beating Purdue. And then I have Duke beating Tennessee. And then it's so risky, but I have Duke in my Final Four. That's as of right now. This is as of.
I hate you. No. Why do you have to take my thunder? Why do you have to take my thunder? I'm picking Duke to go to the Final Four. Get off my pick, man.
No, yeah, did you have Memphis beating Purdue? I think that's a pretty.
I do.
Shit. Dude, Memphis has looked like the number one team in the nation lately. Man, the way they smacked Houston was like,
Smacked them around.
Something's going on. But I had Memphis beating Houston anyway, but I didn't know that is how they were going to run the table in their conference. I was like,
especially with no Marcus Sasser. But I think Purdue is easily the first one seed to go down because outside Zach Edey, they're mid. Their guard play is just not good enough. You need guard play in the tournament. I don't care who your big is. They're young. The guards are young, and they're just frankly not that good. I don't think any of those guys will be in the NBA or anything like that. Duke. I think Memphis will knock them off, but I have Duke going to that Final Four, just like you said, Jack.
Yeah, they are the hottest team in the nation right now. The way they played in the ACC tournament was great. I think the win over UNC and then getting their asses handed to them by Miami in the regular season, little group team meeting. I'm not going to allow this. This can't happen. And that's another team that has that veteran presence in Jeremy Roach, and they have all these other assets and Filipowski. Like that's a great big man right there. See, the difference between Filipowski and like a Zach Edey is that they play through Zach Edey. You have a 7-footer, and that's where you play through. Filipowski can do whatever you need him to do. If you need him to go out and get 12 rebounds if you need him to go get 12 rebounds and not score the basketball, he can do that. If you need him to go get a double-double, he can do that. If you need him to play at the post and then kick it, he can do that. So I think that's what is very versatile about Duke. He can play very different positions. And then with Duke in the Elite Eight there, I have Kansas State. Kansas State has been a very scary team. This is so fun. This is my favorite time of year. Holy shit. Because I'm going to change my answers at some point. But right now,
everybody does.
Yeah.
Everybody does. You know, these are way too soon brackets. Jack, let's go to the West Coast. West Coast is intriguing. I think the West is arguably one of the most deep. There's a lot of good parity. There's a lot of I want to say Kansas, Jack. I do. I want to go Kansas. I don't think I can either. And my mind wants me to say Kansas, but me personally, I don't I could be wrong. I'm going UConn. I'm
Okay, I
going
like that.
UConn to the Final Four out of the West. A lot of intriguing matchups. I think this is where we'll see upsets, kind of going around here. This is that type of bracket to me. I think Boise State can knock off Northwestern in the first round.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Gonzaga went home in the first or second round, depending on. I do not
Yeah.
believe in Gonzaga.
Uh, I have Gonzaga losing to TCU in the round of 32.
Mhm.
And then I had TCU losing to UCLA in the Sweet 16.
Mhm.
I hate that I do that because I've said it a couple episodes ago, and I've been saying it for the past like half the season is I love TCU. They're so fun to watch.
They are very fun to watch.
They're fun to
One of
watch.
the best.
So
Big 12 is just so deep, man.
yeah. So in that one I have UCLA and UConn facing off in the Elite Eight, and then UCLA advancing to the Final Four. I don't love that for
UCLA
me.
is good. UCLA is
UCLA
pretty
is
good.
very deep, and they have a lot of weapons, and
And a lot of veterans.
and that's the thing is that they know what it's like to lose. I don't think they so their comparison to me is like Kansas or like the UNC that went to the championship and lost. Like that's my comparison because they have a lot of the a lot of the same guys, Tiger Campbell, Jaquez, and
Jaquez
you know
and those guys. A lot of veterans. Guys
Amari
who've been there.
Bailey got robbed of Dunk of the Year.
And I think he's going to be the key for them. I think he has to step up and have a great tournament run in order for them to get to really where they want to go.
A lot of freshman pressure there again, but I think that they're a very talented team.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
And as we go from the West to finally the Midwest. The Midwest, I think it features another one seed that I think is going to go down relatively early.
Yep.
Don't know if it'll be round of 32, maybe Sweet 16-ish. I don't think Houston's making it to the Final Four out of the Midwest. I think they're phony baloney. They're not good offensively in too many spurts. They're a good defensive team, but I don't think they can take it all the way. Out of the Midwest, I got Texas.
Me too.
Like Texas going to the Final Four. You got to stop stealing my bracket. He's a thief, ladies and gentlemen. He's a freaking thief. That's what he is. He's a thief.
Bro, I submitted that. Like, I wish you could like see what time you submitted this, so you can say. Like,
I was there. I was there when it was being announced, and I was picking Texas. But yeah, I like Texas coming out of the Midwest. Midwest it's a weird one. Midwest is kind of funky. It's a weird one. But I know I don't believe in Houston. I think Xavier will also have something to say. Xavier is really solid. Texas A&M,
Indiana.
those SEC teams. Indiana, to an extent, I worry about whether their guards can really get it done. That's what kind of worries me, and that's why I think Texas is going to be the representative of the Midwest.
I have Indiana and Texas playing in the Elite Eight. Okay. Texas winning. It's unbelievable. Yep. All right, so Final Four quickly. I have Alabama, Duke, Texas, UCLA. I have Alabama,
Duke, Texas, and it was my last one.
UConn.
And UConn. Yep.
Okay. So I have Alabama over Duke, Texas over UCLA, and Texas winning it all.
I have Alabama winning it all. I think so.
Fair enough.
I think they win it all.
I think that's a fair one to say. I think Texas and I love this theme.
I'm a Longhorn fan. I would love Texas to win. I'm a Longhorn fan.
So here's two things. One, the last time I picked Texas to win it all, they lost to Albion Christian in the first freaking round. So I'm like, damn it! Like it's so messing with my head that I'm picking this. But this, again, this is as of March 14th at 1:30 p.m. Like this is things can change. People can get injured, whatever it is.
Sure.
So my thing is the theme is teams that have had adversity throughout the year, whether it's been losing streaks, whether it's been bullshit, whether it's been like coaching things, whether it's been stuff outside of the teams. Those are two of the biggest teams that have had a lot of stuff that's happened their way, with Chris Beard for Texas happening, and for Alabama with all the Brandon Miller and all that stuff. So I think those are two teams that have had to bounce back. Like a team like Creighton has had a lot of losing streaks. Duke had to lose their head coach at the beginning of the brand new head coach, and then had to go through a losing streak and not ranked for a while. So I think there's a lot of those kind of teams will prevail at the end. Which team has gone through the most bullshit and now in the final?
Well, yeah, there's a battle tested. I think the battle tested teams will prevail this year. Again, it's wide open. I think there's never really a chance anybody's bracket makes it through. There's really no chance this year because I think we're going to see more upsets than we even predict. I think it's going to be upset latent. I wouldn't be surprised if out of nowhere we end up with an 8th, 9th seed in the Final Four or some crazy stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen because I feel like anybody can be beat. Anybody. I don't feel like nobody is overwhelmingly good where I don't see them being beat before the Final Four or even before the Elite Eight. So I think it's going to be a great tournament. I'm excited. I cannot wait for this thing to kick off. Jack, we can hit the showers. But as we hit the showers, we got to highlight one of the best female basketball players in the country right now, Ny'Sera Pryor. Sacred Heart Women Going Dancing, Jack. Sacred Heart Women Going Dancing. She won Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Player of the Year, the first person to do so in the conference. She will not be at Sacred Heart for that long. They may get another season out of her. She's just that great. Somebody's going to come steal her. Sacred Heart alum, we're very happy to see this. I was privileged enough to call her last home game. She's amazing. Good luck to the Pios in the tournament.
Yeah, I haven't had the privilege to call a game this year, but I've been keeping track of with her nickname Lil Mama. She's fantastic. So it's good to see that she had all those Rookie of the Weeks and Rookie of the Months, whatever it is, and then come out with all the accolades. So very happy for that team. That it's been a while since they've made the tournament. It's always been 1 game or 2 games short. So to see Minetti happy and all the rest of the alums happy, like our Asia that joined us a couple weeks ago, and Takira Carter,
she was there.
Everyone else. So to see everyone else happy, that brings a lot of joy to my Sacred Heart. Oh, so
my Sacred Heart. Go
Heart.
Pios. Also, shout out to the Monmouth women for going dancing for the first time in 30
Hell yeah, dude! First time,
first year in the CAA.
That was insane.
And they go to the tournament. Coach Boggs, we love you, Coach Boggs. She's amazing. She's an amazing individual. They finally got it right at Monmouth with the female coach. She is what they've been missing for so long. And I'm just so happy for the success of those ladies. I know some of the older ladies on that team who've been there for 4 or 5 years. Oh, man. Congratulations, ladies.
Congratulations to everybody that made the tournament. Congratulations to us. We're at past 20 episodes. We're like episode 22. Not as cool as that. Because they get to be watched by thousands and thousands of people. We get to be viewed by 40.
40. Let's get it to 100 people. Come on. Tune in, dang it. Sirius, Apple, YouTube. Hit us up on socials at The Locker Room Pod. Alongside Jack Sullivan and Sam Pierce. See you next week.